March 21, 2025. Reply to show cause notice. Subject: Reply to show cause notice, issued by Archbishop Joseph Pamplany, the Vicar of Major Archbishop for the Archeparchy of Ernakulam Angamaly. Dated 07/03/2025. Reference: Letter dated 07/03/2025. Show cause notice. Regarding our meeting with you, on March 5, 2025, at the Archbishop's House, Ernakulam Angamaly. Annexure Number 1. Respected Archbishop Joseph Pamplany, in response to your letter of show cause notice, I do reply hereto. You and present for the consideration of all concerned, the reasons and contentions regarding the events referred in your show cause notice and the related facts. 1. I would like to present an analytical and detailed reply considering the anomalous situation in the Archeparchy of Ernakulam Angamaly and matters contained in your show cause notice. 2. The letter signed by you, while speaking about the Archbishop, referred as third person seems prima facie a dichotomy and the sign of extrinsic factors for the very issuance of the show cause notice. 3. Further, it is reliably learned that you had no intention of making such undue accusations and punishable charges on the faithful after the meeting. But some defaming and twisted news followed and circulated in social media after the meeting is observed as the instigation for the issuance of your show cause notice, which is also self-evident from the highlights of the content of your notice. Page 2 of 13. 4. In your show cause notice you allege that we came to Archbishop's house without prior appointment. It is a practice and manner that the faithful are free to visit their pastors without any such prior appointments, while we understand the pastors of their hectic pastoral responsibilities and ourselves trained how to be viable to such situations. 5. Further, it is not known that any such rules or practices of restricting the faithful found in any common, particular, or eparchial laws or in the custom of our Church for such prior permission as a common practice. 6. Moreover, in any stage of the meeting you dissented or refused to meet us or hear us or asked by you or anyone in the Archbishop's house regarding any such inconveniences for the referred meeting. We only came and stayed at the ground floor of the Archbishop's house, and you, at your free will, came down from your office and residence in the first floor. It is evident here that we have not made any illegal trespasses in contravenes with any canon law, civil law or criminal law as referred in your show cause notice. Further, it is to be noted that there was no interference of the law and order, personnel or police at any stage of our meeting. It was ordinary for such situations in the Archbishop's house in recent times to deploy them, even after you took the office of the Vicar of Major Archbishop for Ernakulam Angamaly Archeparchy, indicative of the incoherence with facts and your grave charges in the notice. 7. It is to be observed that all of us came to visit you were adherents to the Synod and Holy See and Holy Pope and official directives regarding the implementation of the unified form of Holy Kurbana, which is the legitimate right of the faithful according to canon law. And much more. Different courts of the state have given verdict on the rights of the faithful and directed the ecclesiastical authorities to take measures to avail to them the legitimate form of Holy Kurbana. Page 3 of 13. 8. We came to Archbishop's house with our request and plea to get implemented our right for the legitimate form of Holy Kurbana in accordance with the prescriptions of the Church. 9. We came to visit your good self, as a person in responsible ecclesiastical office to vindicate and ask for our legitimate rights in the Church and as yourself the Vicar of the Major Archbishop for the Archeparchy of Ernakulam Angamaly. According to the norms of law, the faithful have rights for prescribed and authentic form of Worship. CCEO 17, the Christian faithful have the right to worship God according to the prescriptions of their own church sui juris, and to follow their own form of spiritual life consonant with the teaching of the Church. 10. Further, we came to you with our anxiety and concerns about the reconstitution of the Presbyteral Council, which was a clear expression, consonant with your settlement signed and decisions taken with the dissident priests. We observed that this reconstitution was unjust without the application of the principles of jurisprudence, not judiciously considering the interest of the Church, with the inclusion of the despotic majority of priests, who still have not celebrated the unified form of Holy Kurbana and active in grave and continuous violations of the discipline, which is notorious in the Church and among general public. Copy of your settlement dated 12/01/2025, and copy of the Decree of the Reconstitution of Presbyteral Council dated 10/02/2025 is attached herein. Annexure number 4 and 5. The situation in which the Presbyteral Council was suspended still exists, and the reconstitution is in contravenes with the legitimacy of the previous suspension. Page 4 of 13. 11. In your show cause notice, you unjustly accuse us of unruly behavior, like raising a voice, using offensive language, obstructing Archbishop's movement and illegal gareo. This charges and accusations which are not at all judicious or not factual and not found fitting to the integrity of a pastor, who holds such an ecclesiastical office. 12. It is clear from the facts and due evidences that it is you who initiated and instigated the faithful to be infuriated. Your words, gestures and postures were unfitting to a prelate, and you were challenging the faithful, saying that you are not like others, yield to any threatening by making voice. And your statements like that I am a Kunur fellow, to the visitors, words implying criminal connotation, with very offensive meaning in the social and political arena of the native people of the state. You could have resorted to your identity consciousness and with much fitting behavior, to your title as the Archbishop and dignity of that high office in the Church. On the contrary, you by your behavior and unholy statements towards the faithful, you much aligned your identity consciousness in such a way and by such words of criminal connotations in our society. 13. It is conspicuous and evident from facts that you were agitating and trying to infuriate the faithful by threatening and moving to the faithful in an unruly manner unfitting to the dignity of your office, and towards the law-abiding and obliging faithful who always stand with the Church and in favor of authentic directives of the Church and its magisterium. 14. All the more, during the meeting you were rowdily beating on the chair, step up from your chair, threatening and aggressively indicating your finger towards the faithful, frightening the faithful by your words of criminal connotations. I myself was then sitting aside of you, duly presenting the just desires and demands of the faithful for the implementation of the unified form of Holy Kurbana and about other anomalous situations in Ernakulam Angamaly. Page 5 of 13. Archeparchy and Syro Malabar Church. Meanwhile, I asked the faithful whether you agree with what I am saying to you. The Archbishop, they with one voice together expressed words of approval in a massive voice, expressing their unanimous and united agreement with an applause. It was then embarrassing that your reaction towards the genuine believers, as Archbishop and the Vicar of Major Archbishop, who is to appreciate what is legitimate, unreasonably and rudely reacted towards the faithful who were requesting for their legitimate rights, which is coherent with ecclesiastical laws and decisions of the supreme authority in the Church. 15. It is to be noted that none of the Curia members were invited or accompanied you in spite of their presence in the Archbishop's house. For the meeting with the faithful. If there was some such illegal activity from the faithful as referred in your notice, the members of the Curia would have come to your assistance by their discernment and magnanimity. 16. It is not the words and deeds of the faithful, but your aggressive words and behavior that instigated the emotions of the peace-loving faithful, who came to you to speak about their canonical rights for the unified form of Holy Kurbana as per the prescriptions of the legitimate ecclesiastical authority. 17. In your show cause notice you have alleged that I have published details of the meeting in the media and that defamed Archbishop, the Church and the dignity of your episcopal office. This is against the facts. And true to my right conscience I have not done anything in this regard, and it is you who published a press release significantly then. Anybody else regarding the meeting and copy of the same is given as Annexure number 2. Furthermore, it is good to evaluate equitably the amount of damage caused to the church and dignity of your episcopal office by your 2 illegal and illegitimate settlements with dissidents, and that the gravity of damage caused to the integrity, reputation and discipline of the church by such illegal and illegitimate settlements. Annexure number 3 and 4. Page 6 of 13. 18. Furthermore, the available facts and data regarding the meeting remains as evidence about your unruly behavior towards the law-abiding faithful, the real adherents of the Church, who came to visit you, maintained respectful words towards you in the meeting, and they all addressed you respectfully until you left the meeting with the faithful contemptuously, that even without a concluding prayer and blessing, a practice in every such meeting in our church. 19. We met you, to request you about the implementation of the unified Holy Kurbana and to take canonical actions against those who gravely violated the ecclesiastical laws in different and repeated violations, from the part of dissident priests and laity, which are notorious in the church and in the general public. 20. It was further the cause of distress to the faithful that you have entered into settlements with dissidents and law-violating priests and laity against the word and spirit of the decisions of the Synod of Bishops, Holy See and Holy Pope in person, the highest authority in the Church. 21. We also wanted to present to you our apprehensions regarding the 2 illegal settlements you signed with the dissidents, which contravenes the decisions of the Synod of Bishops of Syro Malabar Church and directives of the Holy See and the Holy Pope in person, the highest authority in the Church. The cause of your settlements remains dubious and unjustified to the faithful and to the Church as people of God. And it still remains unresolved as a grave violation of the precedents of authority in the Church. 22. Moved by the sensus fidelium and by our instinct of faith, guided by Holy Spirit who guides the people of God, and by the anointing of the same Holy Spirit in the right path of faith in the Church, it was our responsibility to present before the ecclesiastical authority the grave discrepancies in the Church in such settlements. Page 7 of 13. Against the decisions of the Synod of Syro Malabar Church and directives of the Holy See and Holy Pope in person. 23. We the true faithful, guided by sensus fidelium, are enabled to endorse authentic faith and practices, and to reject the false, by what is intrinsic to the faith we received in and from our communion with the Mother Church and in adherence to its authentic teachings. 24. No decision or mandate for any settlement was found promulgated for relaxation from the due implementation of the unified form of Holy Kurbana by the Synod of Bishops or Holy See, and any authorized extension of time for the implementation. Annexure number 8. 25. Further, if you have already received any such mandate or delegation, it is your responsibility as a person who claim it according to the norms of canon law to present it 26. According to CCEO 983/1-2. 1. The burden of proving delegation rests with the person who claims to have been delegated. 2. A delegate who exceeds the limits of the mandate with respect to matters or to persons acts invalidly. 27. As per CCEO 1165/1. A settlement cannot validly take place in cases concerning those or rights which pertains to the public good, or concerning other matters which the parties are unable to dispose of freely. CCEO 1171 states that a compromise is invalid if 1. The norms determined for the validity of contracts which exceed the ordinary administration has not been observed. Page 8 of 13. Further, it is normative to follow civil laws in settlements as stated in CCEO 1164. In a settlement, the norms determined by the civil law of the place where the settlement occur are to be observed. 28. 2 illegitimate settlements herein attached in the Annexure No. 3 and 4 is contrary to the circular, dated June 9, 2024, herein given as Annexure No. 6, and post-synodal notification, dated 21st June 2024, herein given as Annexure No. 7. 29. It is evident that the above referred Annexure No. 3 and 4, the settlements signed by you with others, a grave violation of the precedence of authority in the Church and against words and spirit of all directives promulgated by the supreme authority in the Church. 30. The above referred 2 settlements are explicit violations of the spirit and words of the circular, dated June 9, 2024, contradicting the post-synodal notifications, dated June 21, 2024, and all decisions and directives for the implementation of the unified form of Holy Kurbana from the Synod of Bishops of Syro Malabar Church, Holy See and the Holy Pope Francis in person, the supreme authority in the Catholic Church. 31. Further, it is observed that a petition regarding the illegitimate and illegal settlements and other anomalies in this regard have been filed on August 16, 2024 in the Superior Tribunal/Synodal Tribunal of Syro Malabar Church, copy of which is attached herein the Annexure No. 9, for the perusal to make judicious judgments by the Synod of Bishops. 32. It is embarrassing to observe in your notice that, as per canon law, any act of physical or moral aggression against a bishop constitutes sacrilege and is subject to severe canonical penalties. Your actions, being unlawful, are also punishable under civil and criminal law. It is strange to observe that you arbitrarily accuse and make criminal charges. It is not at all judicious to impose charges of sacrilege depicting again your rude mentality towards the peace. Page 9 of 13. Loving and abiding faithful. It is unjust of the behavior of a prelate who is expected to be a good pastor. Here you are arbitrarily making moral and legal judgments on persons, not considering the integrity of persons, and that too even without considering the nature of the evolution of the situation. 33. Here you misuse your dignified ecclesiastical office against the genuine faithful who came to meet you, while you are very close hearted to the dissidents, even to the level of unlawfully signing settlements, agreements with them without due and evident mandate, and that it is against the clear directives from the highest ecclesiastical authority in the Church, Synod of Bishops, Holy See and Holy Pope in person. 34. Further, it is noticed that you have made abrupt and arbitrary charges and falsified accusation about punishable offenses according to canon law, civil law and criminal laws. Here, in your show cause notice you have not made any references to such laws and its sections applicable regarding your charges in your notice. It shows an injudicious practice in legal procedures and its abrupt and arbitrary nature, which is not fitting with a proper judicial process and seemingly a sign of self-assumed authority and arbitrary way in legal process. 35. It is observed that your letter has made an attempt to reach at some unauthenticated, indiscriminate and self-assumed authority, which has no foundation in a just judicial process and principles of jurisprudence. Such injudicious practices will lead to anarchy and anomalous situation in the Church at present and in the future. 36. Each case shall be studied by a just judge, in its own merits, facts, and situation. No judgment shall be the result of foreshortened personal views and shall not be robbed by any such personal ideas and moral precepts, and may not be driven by any judicial populism. Objectivity should be maintained and heeding to some subjective opinions more in matters judicial. Page 10 of 13. 37. Your letter appears to be a threat of penalties with prejudicial judgments, more than seeking for means to resolve the problems in the Church in a judicious manner. 38. In matters regarding the civil and criminal violations mentioned in your show cause notice, it is to be legitimately referred to such eligible civil and criminal authorities following the norms of law to which we will be duly bound to respond. 39. It is a well-established rule for trials in ecclesiastical law. The burden of proof rests upon the person who makes the allegation. If the petitioner doesn't prove the case, the respondent is absolved. 40. Since you have given a show cause notice and initiated legal process, I am justified and legitimately and duly respond to it as a faithful and law-abiding citizen. I will cooperate with all legal process with responsibility, maintaining the right to vindicate my part in accordance with norms of canon law, civil law and criminal law, preserving all my due rights for self-defense and for the pursuance of justice in the process of law. 41. If you find it judicious that your charges are legitimate and corresponding to the facts and circumstances, with sufficient proof and true witnesses, you may proceed to prove the charges in accordance with the norms of canon law, civil law and criminal law. As a law-abiding person, I am ready to take up the commitment and responsibility to undergo the legal procedures where I shall present my contentions and respond legitimately to queries in due manner before any such legitimate legal authorities. 42. It is further requested that all the minutes of meetings of the legal proceedings in this regard shall be written by the Chancellor/Notary, by exact words at once, tape recorded etc., following CCEO 1248, and be read and signed as per CCEO 1250. Further, the right to inspect the acts and the copies of the acts as envisaged in the law CCEO 1281 shall be availed to me for legitimate perusal. 43. In all the legal process I preserve all my legal rights to vindicate and defend myself before all such judicial forums. 44. My right to avail an advocate as in CCEO 1139 and 1477 is to be maintained always in the judicial process. The presence of the promoter of justice is also solicited as per norms to take part in all discussion in this regard. 45. While considering the CAT paste with copilot, control, prove the charges is to be duly admitted at all stages in the legal process in accordance with canon law, civil law and criminal law. 46. I shall also have the legitimate privilege of law to vindicate and defend and have the right not to be punished with canonical penalties except in accordance with the norms of law, CCEO 24. Going beyond law and out of the law in making judgments with self-assumed authority is not appropriate. 47. It is not found judicious that in this case you yourself becoming a complainant and yourself being the person who initiated the legal process and judge at the same time. Such legal scenario is not found equitable in accordance with the just principles of jurisprudence. Expecting your due response and prompt actions in this regard. Yours in the Lord, Joseph P. Abraham. 8A, Tower 1, DD Nest. Kathrikadavu, Kalor. Cochin 682,017. Phone 999-539-4444. Email joseph51978@gmail.com. Annexure. 1. Copy of the show cause notice. Dated 07/03/2025. 2. Copy of the press release. Dated 08/03/2025. 3. Copy of the illegitimate settlement signed by Archbishop Joseph Pamplany and others, misusing the heading paper of Major Archiepiscopal Curia. Dated July 1, 2024. 4. Copy of the illegitimate settlement signed and decisions made as result of meeting with 21 dissident priests. Dated 12/01/2025. 5. Decree reconstituting the Presbyteral Council. Dated 10/02/2025. 6. Copy of the circular. Dated June 9, 2024. 7. Copy of the post-synodal notification. Dated June 21, 2024. 8. Copy of the letter from Holy See rejecting any relaxation from the scheduled implementation of the unified form of Holy Kurbana. Dated September 20, 2022. 9. Copy of the petition to the Superior Tribunal/Synodal Tribunal of Syro Malabar Church on grave violations of the precedents of authority and collegiality of bishops in the Church. Dated August 16, 2024. Page 13 of 13. Copy to 1. Major Archbishop of Syro Malabar Church. 2. Members of Syro Malabar Bishops' Synod. 3. Pronuncio to India. 4. Holy See, concerned dicasteries. 5. Participants in the meeting, on March 5, 2025.